Thank you for plugging into this Family Life News podcast, streaming issues-driven, family-focused news.
Welcome back to another edition of Real Answers with Christopher Anderson. Wednesdays during the Noon Report, we tackle the tough topics facing today's families with licensed mental health counselor Christopher Anderson. And Chris, I saw today's segment and its title, Getting Ready for Winter. And I'm sure you're not talking about getting your plows and snowblowers ready.
No, that is correct, Brandon. I mean, we could talk about these things, but I'll tell you what, I wouldn't be able to offer much in the way of helpful advice. I'm really not all that mechanical, but we are definitely talking about getting ready for winter, particularly as it relates to our mental health.
So we're talking about seasonal depression.
Good guess. Yep, absolutely. And, in past years we've addressed this topic before, and it's good to continue to kind of keep it on our radar screens every year here. But we normally do it once winter has set in, once the gray skies are here and the cold weather, but like other things in our life, we can be proactive to help take preventative measures, to help prevent seasonal depression. And I think it's good for us to discuss it as the weather is still fairly nice. Now, for one thing, if you know that this is a struggle for you, it's good to be preparing. It's good to be ready for it, knowing what's coming on. So in knowing that as winter wears on, the tendency for this depression to worsen increases. But this isn't always the case. For some folks, it's centered more around holidays or other event anniversaries that happen in wintertime as well. So knowing what your patterns are, when it's going to be the biggest struggle for you, will help now in being ready for that. But if we're talking strictly about seasonal affective disorder, which is seasonal depression, it's mainly due to reduced daylight, gray skies, cold temperatures, not being able to get out and be as active. So what you can do to prepare is to begin to identify activities that can help you keep you engaged. So as you're sitting here, the colors are beautiful right now in the hills. Just maybe give some thought about, okay, what are some activities that you can do, hobbies or wintertime outdoor activities that can help you prepare and be ready to cope with the wintertime blues. And this can be very tremendously helpful, especially when you involve other people. Plan out activities and make sure to include some of them during the week to help break up the work week. We know that small groups offered through churches offer midweek gatherings. And of course, with the COVID concerns, you just have to keep that in mind that, outdoor activities are always more preferable than indoor, even if you can do it during the winter months.
And Chris, you touched on something there. Considering those concerns over COVID-19, how might this impact folks that struggle with seasonal depression?
Well, I think that it does make it difficult for us to get out and move around, as it did from April this year onward. And even with the nice weather, we are still restricted with our gatherings, particularly indoors. And of course, we do need to take this into consideration in the event that something similar occurs this year. But even though in-person gatherings may still be limited, it's important to continue to make those connections as best as possible. So again, outdoor winter sports, skiing, snowshoeing, snowmobiling, that type of thing, these are all easily done with proper social distancing guidelines. Not to mention, when it's really cold outside, we have to wear scarves anyway, so our faces are already covered. But maintaining connections to counselors, to our all-important support system, is really one of the best things that we can do to keep strong against the winter blues. This includes regular time in the Word and in prayer, along with, of course, my favorite, a steaming cup of coffee or hot chocolate.
Oh, yes. That's definitely a must as we get into the colder weather. Well, once again, you've been listening to another edition of Real Answers with Christopher Anderson. It airs Wednesdays during the Noon Report. We tackle the tough topics facing today's families with Christian counselor Christopher Anderson.